So every month, Creative Mornings chooses a theme that is a global theme that is spoken about at all 200 plus chapters. I don't even know what our number is. I probably should have looked that up this morning. Every year, every month. And so this is our local take. So I just want to read a little bit about nature first. So nature in all its forms and stages shows us time and time again that resilience comes from adapting, collaborating, and leaning on the support systems around us. By moving away from the idea that we need to be strong on our own, we open up possibilities in our lives and build our collective resilience. Whether it's in person or from afar, we must all find the networks we can interlock with and ground ourselves in. Lean on the branches of support and hold on tight. Hard times require us to bind together even while apart. So today's conversation, I am thrilled to have Kelli Lemon and Rebecca Thomas joining me today. We don't know, Duran Chavis hopefully will join us at some point. I hope he's okay. He's been busy with Resiliency Gardens, so I'm not quite sure. But we're thrilled to be bringing back some of our past speakers here. So Kelli, many of you may have seen her talk on CM Mystery. Kels, that was what, a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, 2017, I think. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, feels like yesterday. And then Rebecca Thomas, who did CM Water, and that was last year, right?
That's right.
Perfect. So Kelli Lemon is founder of Urban Hang Suite, and she is the weekend draw host for the Virginia Lottery. She hosts Coffee with Strangers. She's the co-founder and collaborator on the Heart and Soul Brew Fest. She's got her Hardywood hat on right now. I see that. And she also basically hosts the Art of Noise, which is that amazing event that happens how many times a year now, Kelli? When you guys can get together.
It's supposed to be after every major holiday, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, not right now. Gotcha. And then she's pretty much found everywhere in Richmond. She is our all-around celebrity badass, and she's always connecting people through food, sports, arts, and education. And then Rebecca Thomas, what I love about this is because I stole this right from her bio, and it's something that I told her she had to leave in. So Rebecca Thomas is one fantastic broad who is sustained by poetry, long bike rides, and coffee. She's an entrepreneur, and this is what I changed a little bit, because for 25 plus years, and she's done everything from award-winning restaurants to thoughtful consultations to small businesses. And she has a long history of making up jobs, and then people pay them and go along with it, pay her to go, and they go along with it. So her current gig is in strategic messaging, and she does this for forward-thinking companies. So welcome to both of you for coming today. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. This will be the only time I'm ever going to have a billing with Kelli, so I'm gonna soak that up.
The first of many. The first of many. Make this happen. Listen, you name it and claim it during Creative Mornings, and then somehow it just happens.
I'm going to hold you to that, so you know.
Yeah.
We are thrilled that you guys are here. So I'm really glad. And I really want to start, I just want to start off this conversation because we talk about nature and immediately our thoughts go outside. You know, I've got like a universe mug here. We've got people showing flowers. We do things like that. But I really want to talk about the nature of your world right now. So Kelli, what is the nature of your world right now?
You know, to be honest, it is almost where I was about a year ago, but on a larger platform. And just to be very transparent, I was at a low place. I didn't know how I was going to take care of my bills. I didn't know how I was going to get through a hard time of being, you know, a brand new business owner. There was no money coming in and I was out there kind of just hustling. And so I kind of turned it over to a higher power, got my village to kind of support me and tell me that everything was going to be okay. Took it one step at a time, starting in September. And then all of a sudden I started to see like this uptick. November was good. December was good. January, we get into Richmond Black Restaurant Experience in March. We had an amazing, like, first 2 days of March. And then everything hits. But to be honest, I wasn't sad. I wasn't scared because I was already at that place. It just kind of took me back of what did I do then? Girl, get your hustle on. Girl, pull your big girl pants up and let's dive in and figure this out. There was some responsibility. There was my staff. There was, my family. I just couldn't quit. And so the nature of my world right now is just basically back in hustle mode, back into, we don't know what tomorrow may bring. Let's make the best out of today. Take it one day at a time as we grind through this. So that's the nature.
So can I just tell you that I think I blame you for all of this, because with all of the awards and everything that you won in January, and then you were recognized, and it was, what magazine was it? I want to make sure I don't misquote it.
Black Enterprise kicked off.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was Entrepreneur or yeah, Black Enterprise, and then you kept posting. You're like, if nothing else happens this year. Way to go, Kelli. Way to go.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. 2019 was rough, but I want it back, and again, the nature of this business is figuring it out. Figuring out what's next. We have no idea how long this is going to be. And so like, you just adjust, you try to figure out how you get creative in this world, to try new things. This is the best opportunity time ever. I got a hat on. I cut all my hair off. I did things that I would probably never do. But I'm doing it right now because I can, and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
That's beautiful. So Rebecca, I'm going to pivot that same question over to you. And I really would love for you to give us a snapshot of what is the nature of your world right now.
Well, I tend to be a contemplative person. So it's no surprise that during lockdown, I think that's what I sort of call it, although that I mean it affectionately at this point, is that, it's been a contemplative time for me. And, initially it felt like a violence, right? Like all of a sudden, you can't do this, can't do this. Nope, this avenue is closed. Nope, this customer isn't coming anymore. So it was a whole series, I think, of like, roadblocks essentially. And eventually though, you get to the other side of that. And I'm working on the acceptance side, because I think if you change how you view things, it's really helpful in keeping your spirits up. So instead of thinking of it as all the things I can't do, I'm trying, and we're mostly successful in flipping it to what can be done, what is possible, within these constraints, what could work. And the nature of who I am is a person who's quite happy at home for the most part, although I'm sure all of the audience can relate to this. I thought I was an introvert, but I really, really, really miss people. So it's been a learning experience about who you really are under these circumstances. And, I'm 49 and the learning never ends. I just want everyone to know who's younger than I am, who's still figuring themselves out. Me too. Me too.
Yeah, and actually that pivots perfectly to the other part of this question, or the next question, about what observations have you made about your own nature? And I think you even said that to me. So I had the privilege of having a socially distant porch conversation with Rebecca last week. I don't know, all the days kind of feel like they're
yeah. Sometimes it feels
Monday,
like it's been years. Friday, there's no
right.
Saturday.
Yeah. So that observation that you made about kind of that introvert, but also the needing for connection. Tell me about that within your own nature.
Well, I've always been a sort of a private person in general. I like my alone time. I like, I'm famous for just wanting quiet in my apartment, no music, no nothing, But when you have the entire world cut off from you, you begin to understand just exactly how much you need other people. And I think that's been a real revelation to me. I miss people. I love people. I want to be in person with other people. And it's made me truly value that in a way that I think I threw it away before, or maybe not threw it away, but perhaps undervalued it. This whole culture of like, I don't care about showing up for plans. I care. Invite me. I will RSVP and I will show up. Like, I'm ready. But, and also there's a nice aspect of it too. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but, I've gotten back on my bike, which I was always a bike rider before, but I'm insane about it now. And I'm behaving like a child and biking through the city and hopping curbs and laying in parks. And, I guess that's what I need right now. And that's what I'm doing.
Love that. Kelli, how about you?
I'm on the reverse. I'm like, get away from me, people. Like, please. Like, I kind of now understand introverts, the coffee shop is still running, so I'm still seeing people. And unfortunately, I'm seeing the community that, has to go to work still, that is still displaced downtown. So I'm very much interactive. Maybe some of you all can feel me, but as a person that is on social media a lot, I don't like these new people in my office. And again, some of you might not understand it, but now everybody's on social media. Everybody's a star. So all of us that really, promoted our brands and did what we do on social media, I've really backed away from it. I've really been kind of like, y'all have it, it's yours now, and what it's made me do though is creatively think of other ways to connect with people. Again, it was very easy to, shoot out a message to people and it goes to, all of my followers, and I've said it at one time, but now, I'm sliding in, some people's DMs to have these conversations and do things. I'm just not doing it on such a big platform. So I think I have kind of come in a little bit where everybody else is gone out.
Expanding out. I think it's interesting that the introvert is more wanting more of that extrovert feel. And Kelli, you've obviously have always been everywhere at all times. And I think there were moments when you even said, I'd like a respite. Does this feel like that at all to you right now?
No. I haven't rested. No. I'm tired. Let's not even talk about, like, my running joke is, I so want to get COVID-15, whatever y'all are eating and gaining, and finish Netflix. Like, I want to do that, but I can't. I'm tired, not only physically, but I'm tired mentally, because, you know, not only are we fighting a virus, but we're fighting the world too. You know, where our nation is a little bit crazy right now. So just the drain on that, the drain that you can't see your family, the drain on having to make sure that your staff is protected and run your business. I am all the way tired. And I'll get into my happy place of nature and where I'm going to go to figure all of that out soon. In your next question, Michelle.
Well, I think actually we're going to go to that question and then we'll come back to a different one because you just teed that up so beautifully. So talk about your happy place in nature and how you refuel and refill yourself.
Yeah, you know, again, being by myself right now, I've learned this whole grounded and being rooted. Taking off my shoes and stepping in grass. Like, I'm sorry that I've never done that. You know, like going to, we have a house in Gloucester County off the York River. Sitting on that pier and listening to water. Again, I am so angry at myself for it taking 44 years for me to appreciate those things. And so that's where my happy place is right now, is to, you know, sit on my porch in my backyard where nobody can see me and listen to the cardinals or whatever birds are in the trees, because we can hear them right now, or listening, going down to the James River and just hearing the water and, you know, taking a walk and stuff. So happy places right now for me are being outside, especially when I can hear water.
That's beautiful. Rebecca, how about you? Where do you go?
Oh gosh, I echo Kelly's sentiment about that. You know, I've written about this, and maybe Creative Mornings will put up that piece that I sent over. But when I was in treatment for the first year, for my first go round with breast cancer, you know, I really was sort of debilitated, and you know, the rest of the world was carrying on, and I was just lying on my couch thinking like, ugh, and it was like a deep compulsion to get out in nature. I mean, it was a deep, visceral compulsion. And I bought a camper, as I talked about in my water talk. And I got on the road for 6 weeks, and my love for nature and being in it and being a part of it has been unabated since then. Nature is salutatory. Nature is resilient, a word that we're all exploring now in its many facets, right? And of course, we need to take better care of it. I really hope this inspires people not to just trample on national parks, but to actually donate to them and learn about good behavior on trails and how to be with other people and that sort of thing. That's really important, right? We're honoring nature, but we're honoring each other. But it is 100% a place to go to restore yourself and to connect with something larger than yourself. I'm not a religious person, but I do consider myself a spiritual person, and I access that through the wonderment and beauty of nature.
So here's something that I didn't actually throw at you guys before this talk anyway, but I wanted to ask because I feel like this conversation has gone there. There's a lot of pieces right now that we notice in nature, in human nature, in actual, you know, physical nature, but we're not all able to access nature, right? We're not all able to access the things that we want to have, do, go, see. So let's talk a little bit about access. And I want to talk about specifically, like Kelly, you know, one of the things that you were, you know, talking about recently, and I've seen it on some of the things that you have posted, is that, and even in this conversation, you are talking to people right now who are working. You are talking to people who don't have, you know, that respite at all. So let's talk about, you know, kind of access and what it means to you in the concept of the nature of the world right
now. Wow. Yeah, you didn't give us time to think of this. I live it every day, Michelle. Like this virus right here just exposes the lack of, you know, downtown Richmond, especially, you know, between Marshall and Gray Street. I mean, let's just talk about our displaced community down there. It has just no place to go at all. So you see access every day. And when I open up my doors and I have a you cannot use my bathroom, as a true human in me, I'm telling the person who has no place to use the bathroom that they can't use the bathroom, because I'm here to protect my staff from, anything that this person may or may not be bringing in. It's tough right now. I continuously pray for better times, to be able to support any organization that is at the front lines, truly giving back. But I am sad to know that it is people that look like me, that are who I am looking at every day, that do not have this access. And I wish I could just get $1 trillion and just, give it to everybody, but that doesn't solve everything. Education, and things of that nature also help in this. So, Michelle, I'm hoping Rebecca has like that big, thing that will close all of this out for that, to answer this question. But just to be aware of who's struggling and who's not struggling, and to also be able to use your voice.
That is the big answer, Kelli. That is the big answer.
Yep.
In your privilege to like step out of a comfort zone and say, you know what, let me see how I can help, and then continue to help. So
that is the big answer.
Agreed. I'll build on that because that was pretty awesome. So I think there's an incredible opportunity right now for access. And what I would encourage everyone to do, and I'm encouraging myself to do, is to work through fear. Right now, we are all fear-based, right? The virus is super scary. I'm scared. The economy is scary. Our leadership is scary. Lots of things are really scary. But here's the thing. There's also an incredible opportunity right now to expand access to public spaces. Right now is the time. It is a proven fact that building bike lanes and public parks and all of these things are revenue generators. We can bring in the business community. We can bring in development. We can ask more from our leaders right now. Right now is a time of upheaval, which is also in a time of opportunity. If you flip it, it's the same coin, And we can ask for these things. We don't have to shrink from this moment. We can ask for more. And I know that seems counterintuitive. Everyone in the world is going to say there's no budget. That's true. But we have to invest in the infrastructure. And I think part of what we're seeing with this lack of access is the fact that we are our public spaces had been transferred to private places, right? We've met in restaurants. But that's quite exclusionary if you think about it. Like, not everybody has access to that. And we need these public spaces for all of us, for the business community, for the working community, for every demographic. And I would point you to the Teapot, right? That wonderful, wonderful pedestrian bridge. Look what happened. Go down there on any given day and you'll see every person of every kind of color, age, physical ability. We can do better and we can ask more of our leadership during this time rather than shrink from this and tell us what is not possible. Ask for things that will go on into perpetuity. And I say this because I believe that public spaces are mental health spaces. I believe the ability to take a walk should be for everyone. A safe walk, a safe bike ride, safe access into nature is every American's right. And we deserve to ask for that and not be pushed off all the time, that it can't happen now, that it's not the right time, that the developers didn't give the okay. We deserve centralized leadership that is going to do something for us. And so I'm trying to flip these narratives in this way to think, what is possible right now? What is possible? And that is possible.
I love that. And I think it leads to our last question before we open it up to the audience. So audience, please think about what questions you'd like to ask as we are going forward. We'll also try to find you and unmute you at the end of this. But our final question is, how can human nature move forward? And so Rebecca, I'm gonna ask you to go first, and Kelli, I'm gonna ask you to wrap us up.
I hope we go forward in a way that thinks about personal responsibility and collective responsibility together. I hope we go forward in a way that thinks about the overall health of our society is our individual health. Your healthcare matters to me because that is part of the greater good. That is part of having a functional person in society. What my hope is that this illuminates for all of us just how deeply we need each other, how important it is to rely on each other, and that there is hope out there. There are wonderful basic things that we can do. Go to a park, go access nature, go speak to each other, go sit down and have a conversation, go spend time together, go make a meal together. Those are the basics they are the basics and fundamentals of a good life, and we are all deserving of them, and we are all responsible to each other to make them happen.
The Urban Hang Suite was created because Richmonders were not talking to each other. And when I say not talking to each other, it was as simple as somebody was sitting at a table right beside you and you didn't even just say, hello, how you doing? How's your day going? And then kind of wait for the response. I just want us to talk to each other, to embrace each other, to go in business with each other, to socialize with each other. I am completely tired of a separate city based off of race and class. I really believe that if we can just create spaces where we can just come together and have conversation, I truly believe that that's going to create a whole new culture in this city. And I think it starts with everybody that's on this call.
Well, beautifully said. Thank you both for sharing that. Lindsay, did we have any questions so far? I mean, I have questions, but these are not ones that I prepped for them.
Someone has a question. If you want to raise your hand or wave at me, I will find you.
So I have a quick question.
Go ahead, Joe.
I know that our team has talked about this, but I would love if Kelli and Rebecca could talk about some of the places where they are spending their time and resources, or places where our community could get behind. Other
more support.
Things to support, just to learn more about them, and if people have continuing income, perhaps drop some money in the bucket if it's helpful.
Well, the first thing I always suggest before starting something new is to see what organizations are out there already doing the work and support them, right? Because they have infrastructure and access that maybe individuals don't. But I love RVA Bike Walk, and I've provided the link to Michelle. I think advocacy is super important right now, and it's hard to see all the pieces where biking and walking is actually social justice, but it is. So, I would encourage everyone to think about it in the broader terms, but think about what you are, I am spending time in public parks, biking, taking long walks, going on hikes, going out, hopefully camping soon. And those are the places that I put my money, but those are also the places that I want everyone to have access to. I want broader access in the city to piggyback on Kelly's sentiment, like how we have those natural collisions between people. And I mean that in a good way, not in a hit the biker kind of way, but like she created this wonderful place where you can have that, but also public spaces provide that. Everybody has access to those.
Through Richmond Black Restaurant Experience, we have a fund up right now that is supporting our chefs, our food trucks, and our restaurants. You can find that at VA Black Restaurant Experience.com to give through there. Also participated in the Holly Fund, another restaurant-driven or food industry, hospitality industry fund that's given back to those that are out of work. They can apply for a grant, so definitely give to that. Also participated in, with Frontline Foods, feeding the healthcare systems. We are actually making box lunches and things for them, so please donate through Frontline Foods. And then they have a list of local restaurants that they are actually hiring to do the box lunches. So you can give that way. And then you'll see some information soon about RVA Strong. RVA Strong is an initiative through the mayor and the city that's about to come out soon. And they are already starting their fund and campaign for small businesses in general. All small businesses can apply for this. So it is not just about the hospitality industry, but all Richmond small businesses. That's all I have right now that I can.
That's perfect. And before I kick the question over to Nicole, I just want to let you know that we're going to gather all these links and we'll continue to share this through our social media. And our Creative Mornings team is also giving back this month, like Jolinda said, because we don't have a lot of the big expense for our events right now. So Nicole.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you both so much, first off. This is amazing. And then my question was kind of, Kelly, you were discussing like urban hang suite and, you know, the discussions between people. And I kind of want to know, like, how do we cultivate those types of conversations now during quarantine when we're all so separated physically? I'm feeling super disconnected from everyone, even though these great Zoom meetings happen, but it's really hard to have connections with people, I think, because we're not physically there. And I know this is a question that everyone just like keeps trying to answer, but I didn't know if you had any thoughts, or either one of you had any thoughts about like, how do we continue these conversations and to move forward in our city when we're also separated physically right now?
Rebecca might have some. I think that is the absolute challenge, you know, and then also being, as Jolinda said, exhausted of these calls, but you want these. And so how are these small salons created? Or, you know, if indeed by May 28th, we can get back to maybe 5, you know, or 10 people, you know, together. I think the small businesses will benefit maybe if they could host some smaller conversations in their places. Again, I wish I had the answer to that because we don't know what's going to happen. I just think maybe breaking off into like smaller conversations, I think this can be overwhelming to some people. So if there could be things that are orchestrated where maybe only 5 to 10 people are in the conversation, and those conversations are moderated a little, to keep the energy and conversation going. And some takeaways. I love a takeaway. Thank you, Creative Mornings. Why do we have this talk if I can't do anything afterwards? So if there is a takeaway with it, please have that. Sorry, Rebecca.
So
no, you're fine.
Really quick, Michelle, there's some talk in the chat about just acknowledging Duran's absence. We do miss him. He's been busting his butt working on the resiliency garden. So we are absolutely going to check in on him. I know he's been working day to night, and basically he lost his job at Lewis Ginter because of COVID-19. There were layoffs, and he flipped instantly to start serving the community, organizing volunteers. People donated money, so he was able to replace the grant funds he was planning on using from Lewis Ginter just by community involvement. So I'm going to post in the chat a link to his Facebook fundraiser that's going to him building raised beds for people that request it, installing gardens for people that are food insecure. So absolutely, we notice his absence, and I know he's been killing it out there. So hopefully he's resting this morning, and we'll check in on him to make sure he's okay. So thank you guys for bringing that up.
So I want to answer that question, Nicole, even though it was Kelly's question, really quickly. I would encourage everyone to also think outside the box a little bit. I write my boyfriend poems at night sometimes, and I send things to friends, and I, there's other ways of reaching out to people, and I would encourage a little creativity with that. It could be that it's a nice way to let people know you're thinking about them, but also like not wearing out the Zoom. I'm really enjoying this, but I haven't quite warmed up to Zoom. So I'm trying to think of other ways to let people know or to communicate, and I would encourage everyone to do that too. I think it could end up being something beautiful.
Yeah.
There's some chatter there's some questions I'd like to give some voices to. Do you see that, Michelle?
I can't see what you're looking for. So if you've got a question, feel free to.
Margaret, I feel like Margaret had a question, but I couldn't find Margaret Purple. Margaret Purple, wave. Someone else may find her before, or if you want,
or just unmute yourself.
I can talk.
Oh, yay! There she is.
Hi.
Okay, perfect. Hi.
I think I teach ethics at Virginia Commonwealth University. My semester just ended. Thank you, yay! But really, these questions of who is safe in our public spaces, and questions of not shrinking away from questions of racism and questions of discrimination. And my final question was, is it truly safe for a person of color to be wearing a mask in a public park, in a public space? Because the reality is that I don't think it is very safe. Like, we say they are for everyone, but who does everyone really mean? And do we really mean everyone? And how do we take that head on and not shrink from it? Because there's all these great messages about being together, but I don't think we're addressing the hard part of that, the really hard work of undoing hundreds of years of racism and other forms of oppression. All forms of, racism, anti-Semitism, they're all on the rise, ironically, at a time when we really need to pull together. So that was my point.
I'm going to give that to Kelli, but I do have an answer, or a very limited answer. I'm not an expert in social justice by any means. Kelli, you
Rebecca,
go first.
I'd actually like to hear what you have to say, because I think that Margaret had a statement, because we're not mask or no mask. So
Mask or no mask. I'm not qualified to answer that. The truth is, being Black in America is not safe. Let's just go ahead and say that, because that's exactly what it is. And so, but that doesn't shirk anyone's responsibility to fix this, right? We're literally all responsible to this problem. So I can only speak to that. In terms of public spaces, though, it occurs to me that more public spaces, more access is what makes people of color more visible. It doesn't fix all the other factors of all the other things that support the rise of hate and support the rise of oppression. But these are ways, there's a reason that all these places are taken out in places where people of color don't have access. It's because public spaces give everyone access. Public education gives everyone access, right? And so we have to invest in those things. And I know that's long-term thinking for short-term problems. I don't have a short-term fix, but I know that equalizing things is what makes a better society.
Yeah, I really don't have anything else to add. Thank you, Rebecca, for that point, and Margaret for just even bringing that elephant in the room.
We have some people just talking about sending cards. I know Jolinda and I have the cards from Worth Higgins. They are super adorable. I love them. And if you want to start sending
cough or couch, what is that?
Couch.
Okay.
Greetings from my couch.
Greeting from my couch. Oh.
Yeah. And then it's like, are you still there? Like Netflix, are you still watching?
I love that idea. We can send postcards to each other. That's a wonderful idea.
Cards, and this one
love
says,
it.
"I put on real pants for you."
I didn't, though. I didn't. Sorry. No.
The truth comes out. The links for getting these are in the chat. And I love that everyone's talking about the postcards and sending things to people. Dina mentioned that she has a basket of face masks on her porch and invites people to come get them with, and they're flamingos and farm animals and tie-dye. I'm trying to see if there's anyone else that has a question. Nadia's bought 4 books of stamps and gone through 1 so far. Awesome. Any other ways that you're connecting to people?
Or any other questions?
Yes.
I'm kind of scrolling through as well to see if anybody raises a hand.
So just really quick, just thinking about the idea or the statement that Margaret posed. If you're not somebody in this targeted category, which is people of color, just try and learn what's going on, try and educate yourself about the data, because if you don't experience the level of trauma and racism that they're subject to, sometimes you don't understand what it feels like, and it doesn't feel like it's a problem on your radar. So I speak as a person of privilege. Listen when people are talking about their experiences, take them seriously. I mean, they talk about with the Me Too movement, believe women, believe people of color when they talk about their experiences, internalize that. And then, you know, if you've got friends that are in a situation that's perhaps not safe, like step up with them, hang out with them. If you're in a situation in your family and you feel safe to bring up stuff, like speak out against just false statements that are coming out. And I know it can be hard to step out of your comfort zone, especially if you don't experience what it's like every day, but just believe people when they tell these stories, for sure.
We had a question in the chat, and we are going to follow up with some links to support. But Kelly, how can we support Urban Hang Suite?
Oh, we are open for takeout and delivery Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p.m. Again, we're blessed to be able to feed the frontline workers and also first responders from the city. So, but more importantly, support any business that is open right now. Buy a gift card, pay it forward. If you were gonna get your bacon, egg, and cheeses or your lattes from this place weekly and you still have that income coming in, go ahead and buy those virtual items still. I promise you, it tugs at our hearts when we see those virtual things come through. Also, if your friend is a business owner, check on them. I've been very surprised about who's called me and who hasn't. So check on them. And I think that is the way that you support. So.
Rebecca?
Well, I don't know how to support Urban Hang Suite, but, but I mean, other than what Kelly just gave, but I love her point about checking in. You know, this is a time when a lot of people's income is cut off. And, you know, I experienced that too. I closed my restaurant, which I was very happy to do. That had nothing to do with COVID. I just, you know, didn't love the factors going forward in society to support small business. And unfortunately, COVID made that very clear that that was correct, you know. But, you know, my consulting went away overnight, something that I had been working on and creating a lot of opportunity for myself. And overnight, it went to zero. And it's a shock, right? We're all shocked by this change. And so I think reaching out to your friend and showing them compassion, not advice, but just compassion. And then for anyone else who's been in my situation, I would say to you, think about what's possible now. You can't grieve for too long about what has gone away. It really has to be about what is possible within the constraints that you live in now. And that will feel lighter and more optimistic.
Yeah, PJ, listen local. There's a lot of dope local music in Richmond. You don't have to turn on anything but local. So yeah, support the local musicians. Yes, PJ.
Love that. Thank you both for joining us today. Thank you all for spending your Friday morning here on yet another Brady Bunch style box meeting. And we are going to follow up with all of the links and all of the ways to support. And we love you so much, and we miss you, and we cannot wait to hug you or high five you.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.